everything that's going on. You cannot use a credit card in Cuba. So you say, well, then what do I do? He helps you by telling you you have to bring US dollars. You have to get your dollars exchanged at the airport, which is the best place to get the best exchange rate, or you can do it at the hotel, but you don't get a good exchange rate because it's just not the same. Whenever you send a client to Cuba, there's a company in Washington, a government company in Washington called OFAC that can OFAC. And don't ask me what Ronan calls it, because if anybody's ever talked to Ronan, you know what he calls it. We have to keep documents for 5 years on your client. If you book Airbnb or you book somebody that doesn't know the laws of Cuba, you can be held responsible for that person. So we have a file room in Portland with everybody's documents for 5 years. It's
Your
just
clients have to do the same thing. You're the traveler actually has to do the same.
You absolutely do, but if the client doesn't keep it, we always have it. Because Ronan, our president, wants to protect you guys as well as the client. So you have to be very, very careful of who you're booking Cuba with. We're going to Cuba, right?
We're going to Cuba. We're going to the jazz festival too.
We are.
Yeah.
We are. Ronan, he's not preferred with a lot of consortiums. I think just a couple, but he has always pays 12 to 15% for all of his tours. So it's not that we don't have the money. I mean, like some consortiums want, thousands and thousands of dollars. He would rather give it to you guys as far as commission. Our documents, which I have on my table, are the most brilliant documents I've ever seen. As soon as your clients give us a deposit, they get the beautiful pre-document booklet with all the words that you need to learn in that destination, how to dress, what to expect, everything you need to know about that destination. And after your clients pay in full, they get a bag and another document. So he wants to make sure that every client is completely immersed in the destination. We are the only tour operator in Cuba that actually has our person who puts our tours together living in Cuba. Everybody else, whether it be TAUC or A&K or Travcoa or any of the other companies inside Cuba, don't mind the pun, inside Cuba, has people based in Miami. So when your clients are in Cuba and something happens, the motor coach has a flat tire. I'm just making up some things that he's told me. There's no way to get that fixed. We pick up the phone, we talk to Laura, who runs our tours in Cuba, she gets it fixed. We give her money on every vacation that we put together to pay for all of those unexpected expenses, because there is unexpected things that happen, not just in Cuba, but everywhere. FIT, Yalla Tours is one of the only companies that can send one person to Cuba. They don't have to go on our groups, but anybody that does book our groups, we are one of the very few companies that never cancel a tour on any of our destinations. Once we have advertised that tour and that date, even if we have one person sign up, we will take that one person. We never cancel. So that is, something that's very, dear to my heart. FITs, one person wants to go do a jazz, we have jazz tours, but one person, I just did a group, a family of 6 that wanted their kids to be immersed in the Cuban music. So we set up every day different music lessons, different dance recitals, different things like that. So Ronan has the capacity to set up anything your clients want. Bird watching, kayaking, a Jewish tour, LGBT tour. We have all of that he has put together for your clients, and it's seamless. If when your client arrives in Miami, because right now you're hearing on the news that Alaska Airlines, Delta Airlines, Airlines, they're all doing direct into Cuba. Nothing of those airlines has been approved by the Cuban government. So right now, even our fan trip, which is going in August 27th, we are all booked on the charter out of Miami. If the Cuban government, which is very hard to deal with, decides that American or Alaska can go to Cuba, then we will switch. But right now, nothing has been approved by the government. So Ronan goes 4 times a year to make sure all of this is running smoothly. You can read everything you want of all of the people that are having all of these direct American, Spirit, JetBlue, all of this stuff, but absolutely nothing. If you go into a Sabre and you book American Airlines to Cuba, it will let you book it, but there's no price because they have not been approved yet. So you have to be very careful. And we are so up on it that we would never strand your clients. So even on our fan trip that we're doing in August, we are booked on the charter. If we book your clients on the charter, but before they go next year, March, April, whenever, American Airlines or Alaska out of LA has decided to go, it's going to be much cheaper than the charter. We will refund your clients the money that they paid for the charter. Because we just don't know now. You know, it's just everything is up in the air because Cuba is completely a different venue to book. Visas, you have to have a visa to go to Cuba. Ronan doesn't think that the airlines are going to be responsible for the visas. We do the visa for every client that goes to Cuba. So those are the kind of things that you really do have to think about. I just did a group of 80 out of Denver to a church in Cuba, and we did all the visas. Everything ran smoothly. Getting off the Cuba topic for just a second, in Turkey, everybody knows what's going on in Turkey. Ronan actually stayed up all night the night before to call every single passenger that we had in Turkey to tell them exactly what was going on, what was happening, where to stay, rebooking their flights because Turkish Air and everybody else canceled their flights for one day. So it's the kind of company that's very, very hands-on. We don't take direct bookings from clients at all. We are completely dedicated to the travel partners, and that's it. So I guess I'm up to questions. Anybody have any questions?